It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, answer. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Welcome on into the Full Court Press, second hour here with Jason Walker, Eric Frandsen, here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM The Fan, streaming online at 1069thefan.com and on the 1069 The Fan mobile app. And you can find our show published afterward on our podcast feed. You can find it on 1069thefan.com or wherever you get your podcast. Just search for the Full Court Press, and hopefully you sift your way through maybe some of the other people who decided to call theirs the Full Court Press, but...
Ours is the good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. So thanks for joining us. If you want to join us via the Full Court Press text line, it's 435-339-0321. I have a couple of texts to get to as we start this second hour. 2305 asking, when does USU begin play in the Pac-12 in all sports? And the answer is at the beginning of the 2027?
Summer of 2026.
Summer of 2026 is when they'll make that move. So they'll have next year, the 2025-2026 season. That'll be the last year. So basically at the end of all this, we go one more year and then it's into the Pac-12.
Yep.
So that's the timeline that they'll be on. And then 6391. So I'm not able to listen every day. Did you ever find out who the mystery voice in the intro was?
Oh,
we forgot to look into that.
Got to ask.
Got to ask Will where he got that from.
Yeah. Thanks for the reminder.
Eric's going to write a note in his notebook. Will, who is this voice? We'll get that answered for you.
Mystery
6391.
Yeah.
Voice I know there's thought maybe it'd been Doug Gottlieb, or I know some people thought maybe it was Ajay. No, that was kind of my first impression when I first heard it. And then I heard it like a second time. I was like, no, that's not Ajay.
It's not Ajay.
It's like, who is it? Or was it me secretly years ago recording it so it could be put in the intro?
A voice from the future.
Yeah, basically your voice from the past. 5338 texting in right at the end of the first hour saying, I see Blake Anderson has finally filed his lawsuit against USU. Thoughts? I mean, I've said it for a while that all these lawsuits are basically going to end in settlements, most likely. Blake Anderson, from what I've heard, is not interested in settling, but they pretty much all say that when they file a lawsuit. Not saying that they're lying or that anybody's lying when they say that, but when you go through a very, very lengthy legal process, then, bills rack up and all these different things. So we'll see if any of these lawsuits, because I believe Jerry Bovee has either said he's going to file a lawsuit or may have already done so. I can't remember where we are in the timeline of Jerry Bovee concerning that lawsuit. Blake Anderson has officially filed his. That's kind of thing they've said they're going to sue, and it takes a while to actually create the whole document with all the allegations, because you got to put all those things in. You have to be very meticulous. You don't just say, "Oh, I'm going to sue you," and then the next day you file a lawsuit. It can take weeks to pull all this stuff together and to fine tune all the arguments and get all the facts together and all the statements and whatnot. Even before trial and all that.
Yeah, well, and I think part of it may have been the delay may have been in relation to the Bovee grievance and the Crosby grievance. Now that they are both done, then
that delays Bovee, but there's no reason why it's delayed.
I don't know why
Anderson.
I don't know why it's taken this long.
It's the process of preparing a lawsuit. That's
and
it
apparently
just takes time.
He's seeking more than $15 million.
Which makes you think maybe, I don't know, so he was owed another like $6 million, I want to say. I suddenly forget the number. I did the math on it. Now I can't remember. Mind you, that number comes from like he was going to coach in college football for like another 10 years or so is what he was projecting. So it's not just what he was owed on his contract, but, there's also the whole thing about his reputation and things like that. So we'll see how this goes. It's a process that's going to take a long time. That's the problem, is there's not much more to say on it than, well, the lawsuit is here and it's going to be a long time before anything gets settled, either in court or out of court. So it's something that's happened now.
Yeah. Yep. We've had our news department following this, and they will continue, and we'll try to have our own resources dedicated to this to give us the latest details, so folks know what's going on and how it's progressing.
Yep, definitely. 2305 says, any idea who the 8th football playing school will be in the conference? And that's another thing where it's hard to tell, because the Pac-12 has basically run out of options they can go to unless they can get a good media deal. Because if they get a good media deal, like they're projecting like, hey, $10 to $15 million per school per year. It's like, okay, if you can secure that, especially closer to the 15 million range, a lot of possibilities open up. If they don't get that, then Sacramento State's going to be jumping for joy, because then they're going to try and, sell their pitch to make that jump from FCS to the Pac-12. And the thing is, there's a lot of people who have said no to the Pac-12. The schools in the AAC, they said no. Apparently Texas State has said no. Or at least they said no to the Mountain West.
Well, they said no to the Mountain West.
But they haven't seemed as interested. That may, like, if there isn't like this fantastic media deal, or if the AAC like continues to, or the Memphis Tulane, and all that, if they keep rebuffing those advances from the Pac-12, Texas State's probably your top option. I know we have a texter who's really in on Tulsa getting in. Who knows? It could be Tulsa, though, because the Pac-12 wants these better options. They'd very much like to have a Memphis, or I think they would have liked to have had a UNLV. But a lot of those options aren't on the table unless they can add that really good media deal. And I don't have a crystal ball in front of me. I can't predict what that media deal is going to look like unless Octagon can work wonders.
Now that it's official, maybe now they can officially go to work.
Yeah, now they can be like, hey, Memphis, we got Octagon working for us.
Oh, Octagon?
Wow. Memphis is like, well,
look, so the thing is here, just to boil this down simply, is that there are no cheap and easy options available. They thought they had some out of the Mountain West, but UNLV turned them down. That was the next best option.
I think it's just because after some of the initial schools, they just started lowballing everybody. Like, the Pac-12 just didn't want to give up any of the money it had.
Right,
and so
they knew they already had to give up a lot to pull those 5 schools out of the Mountain West.
Yeah, they lowballed the AAC schools. I'm pretty sure they kind of lowballed Utah State. Like, from what I get, they didn't really offer a ton of financial support for Utah State. But Utah State was like, we'll take it.
We don't want to be left behind again.
Yeah, so they made that move when they got the invitation. Sure, it wasn't, I don't know if it was like the most grand invitation as far as helping them cover all expenses and everything, but it was an invitation that Utah State still couldn't pass up.
Right.
But there are other schools who aren't seeing it as quite an obvious option, especially UNLV, who's in a ton of debt. Air Force, I don't know why or why not Air Force. Maybe they're still eyeing the AAC. Of course, for the AAC schools, they have to deal with travel and a big buyout. If they get lowballed, like, it doesn't make any sense for them to move.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're just, we're kind of victims of geography, really. There just aren't very many schools in the traditional footprint here that make sense. And so you have to go outside of that footprint, and then travel is a concern. And then some of those other schools that you might want, maybe you can make an appeal to being a better basketball conference, being a solid football conference, but there's a buyout that they have to get through and overcome as well. So, yeah, there's no short, easy answer as to who's the next team, next school that the Pac-12 can go after. It's an expensive endeavor no matter what, even if it ends up being Sacramento State, because that means they have to build a brand new football facility. They have to invest in getting their program into the FBS, which is a $5 million entry fee now. Then there's a longer on-ramp for them to even get into the conference and be, heaven forbid, somewhat competitive. So there's no real easy answers here. And that's why they're focusing on the media rights aspect of it to try to take to these other schools as leverage to say, this is what we have. This is what our future looks like. Come be a part of our party. And there's uncertainty with what you're going to be left with. So come with us.
Yeah. Quick 2305 saying, why do you think Wyoming or Nevada are not interested in going to the Pac? I don't know if it's not interested, they probably didn't get an invitation.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of who got invites and who didn't.
Yeah, I imagine
then who acted on invites.
I think of the Mountain West teams. The first four were kind of those ones that were kind of getting that top billing as far as that first invitation, and then I think after that it was probably obviously they went after the AAC schools, but others in the Mountain West. Oh, excuse me. I read 2305's text wrong. Why do you think Wyoming or Nevada are not interesting to the Pac? My apologies.
Not interesting.
Reading comprehension fail on my part. Mostly because I'd say the reason why not. I mean, Nevada's close, but Nevada's more like UNLV, but without being in Las Vegas. That's their kind of biggest problem. They have good athletics and especially a pretty good basketball program, but so does UNLV. UNLV is doing a little bit better in football as of late and are in Las Vegas.
Right.
And so I think that's where the Pac would have been more interested in UNLV than they would have in Nevada. Wyoming, they're just they're struggling in so many different sports.
They struggle in sports. And they're hard to get to. They don't add very many eyeballs for TV.
Yeah,
they have a lot of strikes against them.
Yeah, it's like Utah State with worse location, worse athletics.
Right.
You have an incredibly passionate fan base in Laramie, and that's the biggest thing with Wyoming is that they have one of a fan base as far as per capita per square mile by the population, the amount of interest they draw from their population base is second to none in the Mountain West. But the problem is that population base is in Wyoming, the least populous state in the United States. And that's kind of the issue there. So Wyoming just has again, worse location and media markets than, programs like Utah State and Colorado State, who are already a bit iffy in how much of a market share they have with Utah State being in Logan and kind of technically being in the Salt Lake market. There are some concerns with that, but still. Decent media market. Colorado State has that same relationship with Denver. Wyoming doesn't even have that. They're not even close to a media market. So they're worse in that case. And then, but the thing is, Colorado State and Utah State, they have the benefit of having pretty robust, athletics programs and increasing budgets and facilities and all that. So Nevada obviously is probably a little closer to maybe being interesting to the Pac, but again, it's like lesser UNLV.
Right. That football program has not been competitive or interesting they had a blip a few years ago, but generally speaking, they haven't been competitive or interesting since Chris Ault. And that's pretty much been since they've been in the Mountain West. They had some interesting moments in the WAC, but that's a football program that's just not there. Basketball wise, that's a competitive. And in fact, there's a new big development that's happening in Reno, and part of the key kind of feature or aspects of this development is a new arena that'll be used for basketball that the Wolfpack will play in. It'll also be used for concerts and other events, but they will leave Lawler and play their games at this new state-of-the-art basketball venue. And so that's supposed to be some big selling point for the future of Nevada. But until they can get football solved, it still doesn't really move the needle.
Yeah, it's tricky. And 2305 saying at this point, I would say Nevada Reno would be the go-to team. They only have 1 year to go. think the problem is the Mountain West feels like a bit closed off because they signed, they signed all those. What are the names of those things? The things
it's a grant of rights.
Yeah, grant of rights, or
kind of locks them in.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the problem is they've all kind of signed on a dotted line. That I imagine there's maybe technically some get out of it, but it would probably again be expensive.
Yeah, it'd be even more expensive.
So that's the thing is that because if you're going to poach the Mountain West, you go to UNLV and Air Force.
Right.
You're not
opportunity
going
to get another school out is passed.
Yeah.
And then you got to wait another 6-7 years.
Yeah, and that's why I say I'm pretty confident UNLV will eventually end up in the Pac-12, but not for a while.
Yeah.
It will eventually happen, but not for a little bit.
And with what Bronco Mendenhall is doing with football, trying to revive that, they've got a good basketball tradition. Maybe New Mexico makes sense, but
that's really long term. New Mexico's got a long way to go.
Yeah, they do. So it's just they've got to go somewhere else. They have to go outside of the Mountain West footprint to find somebody.
You got to go to the Central Time Zone because that's the magical time zone where apparently TV executives are so insistent you have to be in the Central Time Zone for some reason.
Yeah, I mean it'd be great to have a school in Texas. But again, there's buyout clauses with some of the schools that are there that you'd think would be interesting, that maybe could be there, be in the mix. But it's probably more likely Memphis and Tulane that are a little more established.
Yeah, those are your top of the line targets, but can you get them?
Right, and if you do that, do you find somebody else? So it's not such a big gap between just those two. Do you find somebody in between?
You bring in a Texas State anyway.
Right. North Texas or Texas State, Texas. Or if you can pull UT San Antonio away. So, yeah, there's still multiple pieces that need to move here. But you got to stop thinking about teams out of the Mountain West because that opportunity has passed. They've signed it on the dotted line, and it's near impossible to pull them out. Unless the Mountain West has something catastrophic where everybody just leaves.
Yeah, if everyone just lines up and says they're going to leave. But the thing is, with how many teams they're adding, they've stabilized themselves.
Right, yeah.
9-3-1-5, shifting topics slightly to a different kind of drama, says that I see Hawaii sports is going through the same thing we are right now with firing of AD and such. Wouldn't say the same thing as Utah State, but it is high drama.
Oh, yeah, it's a hot mess.
It is definitely. If you haven't heard it, I'm not going to give the greatest explanation here, but there are a lot of people reporting on it. But Hawaii's outgoing president, basically a lame duck saying, all right, I'm apparently trying to do a solid for one of his buddies by firing the now former AD who'd been there for like a year and a half. And then appointed his buddy as the interim, right? Is that the guy they?
Yeah, there was somebody who was a candidate to be the AD 18 mons ago. The university president kind of preferred this other candidate. Apparently, there's reports that he promised this other person, "You'll be AD before I go." Well, he's retiring in 6 months, and so he's making it happen.
Yeah, fulfilling a promise.
Putting this other person in as the interim AD and hoping that this person stays on after the new president is stuck or installed, I should say. But their collective.
The NIL collective is basically...
They are hopping mad, and they're pulling their money.
Yeah, they absolutely escalated this because I was kind of thinking, okay, what's the next step in this? Because a bunch of people are mad. So many Hawaii fans are ticked off about it because this AD had been doing a pretty solid job by pretty much, the vibes. I don't know. That's the thing is people tend to judge ADs by the vibes of the program, and I guess the vibes were pretty good. And there were some financial things behind it. I mean, Hawaii did just become a full-time member of the Mountain West, so it's not like it was completely vibes-based. There were reasons and factual things that this AD had been able to do, and also fundraising and things like that. So, and that had contributed to why they felt like there was a positive trajectory with Hawaii athletics. And then that AD, who'd seemingly been doing a pretty good job, got fired. And so, the collective, I guess earlier today, at least the head of their collective said they're going to pull all their funding for NIL. It's like, holy cow. that is an escalation. Like,
yes,
that's not just fans sending in angry emails. Like I've got copies of angry emails that were sent to Utah State over the drama that happened here. It's like, that is an escalation. And that is potentially catastrophic. If that like sticks and they keep this NIL, and if, you know, it's essentially kind of a boycott. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but you know, that's where you talk about, like, you know, if you want to change a university's mind and things like that, or, you know, any big organization, you want to get them to change their mind on something, you hit them where it hurts, and that's the wallet.
That's the pocketbook.
And they will very quickly pay attention. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. If they get what, I guess, an NIL boycott, so to speak, to stick, that'll be a drama to watch over halfway across the pond at Hawaii.
Yeah, it's a mess right now. So, Utah State is not alone in drama.
Yeah, there's plenty of drama going on in the rest of the Mountain West. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we'll finally get around to that Will Holmes interview that Eric did with the freshman linebacker. Really wanted to get to this, but we got sidetracked by the text chat. Obviously not a problem to get sidetracked, but I do want to obviously get to this. It's a great story, Will Holmes and his journey, not just to Utah State, but to the sport of football in general. So we'll have that next here on the Full Court Press.
Advanced Heating and AC and Advanced Fireplace and Stove want to help local families this year with a food drive. Drop off your canned foods at Advanced Heating across from DI, or hand them to one of their technicians when they come to your home for a repair. And to say thank you, the Advanced team will match all your contributions and offer a 20% discount on your next service call. Find out more at AdvancedFireplaceandStove.com or call 752-7272. Donate to Advanced Fireplace and Stove's canned food drive for local families.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
Clean it up and get it out before the snow flies. Don't wait another winter. Let DD Auto and Salvage pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy and fast to get rid of your junker vehicles by paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204. That's 787-1204 today. See store for details.
People gathering to give thanks, renew friendships, and celebrate traditions will always be what the holidays are about. This is Lance Zollinger, President at Cache Valley Bank. As we celebrate together, thank you for making us your preferred hometown bank and trusted tradition for achieving your financial needs and ambitions. We wish you a year filled with wonderful memories, good times, safety, and lots of happiness. We think you deserve it. Happy holidays from Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. I have some breaking news. Black Friday pricing has started at Daryl's Appliance. For a limited time, double dip and get our exclusive mail-in rebates and save up to $1,000 on appliance packages from your favorite brands. Plus, you can triple dip with Daryl's exclusive 2-year warranty on all appliances delivered and installed by Daryl's. Daryl's Black Friday sale. See store for details. Daryl's West on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Just a reminder, if your child's vision changed this year, make sure to take them over to Crystal Vision in Logan. You'd find them on 14th North by the Sportsman Warehouse. Crystal Vision is the 4-time gold medal winner in Best of Northern Utah. They provide personable, experienced one-on-one care. You can find glasses with character. Again, they're over on 14th North in Logan, as I said. You can find them also at crystalvision.com. It's Crystal with a K, crystalvision.com.
Hey, for the record, for a conversation during the break, you didn't lose that job because you sucked.
Oh. You had to put that on there.
Well, I want to make it a matter of public record.
You're talking about my first ever encounter with Cache Valley Media Group, or at least working with them. I shouldn't say it was my first encounter, but calling Mountain Crest play-by-play games for high school. And then circumstances worked out that I didn't end up because I think you guys.
Well, yeah, we'd hired somebody else for a different position, and he happened to also have play-by-play experience.
Yeah.
And we just slid him into the Mountain Crest spot.
And so I got kind of pushed out, and and I was just like, well, I guess that just happens. But then 6 years later, I was like, hey, Eric, remember? Because I had your phone number to in my phone. I was like, because this job came open. I was like, you remember me, Eric? Turns out you did.
That's right.
Got my foot in the door for 1 year with Mountain Crest. So
I always behave because you never know when it's going to come back.
Always make sure to leave on good terms because help me continue my career in broadcasting in sports media. Mentioned I wanted to get to this. That is the interview with Will Holmes, the baseball player turned linebacker turned backup turned starter for Utah State.
What a story.
Yeah, just a guy who's risen through the ranks and circumstances kind of, played his way in this sense, whether you call him lucky or fortunate, whatnot, to be on a team that had so many injuries, others who are unfortunate. And he's benefited and made the most of his situation. And Eric, you got to talk to him after practice yesterday.
All right, William Holmes. First, I just want to talk about your journey to Utah State. It's an interesting story. You're a guy that played baseball professionally for a while, and then now we find you in a football jersey. So let me just start there first with getting into baseball and just being able to get drafted and play professionally. What was that like for you and starting to play in the minor leagues?
Yeah, man, I've been playing baseball since I was 5 years old, man. Just always just kept getting better and better. And then I started to get scouted around the end of 10th to 11th grade. And then just started taking off to the point I started getting invited to showcases all over the place. Pro showcases, college showcases, big tournaments I was playing in. And then, we got picked in the 5th round in 2018 to the Los Angeles Angels.
And how long did you stay in their system?
I was in there from 2018 until 2023.
Okay.
Yep, so a while.
Did you ever play any games in Salt Lake City? Did you get ever that high?
No, I didn't make it to AAA, but I made it to low A, but didn't get to play for the Bees.
Did you ever play football in high school?
I haven't played, man, since I think 7th or 8th grade, man. It's been a long time. But when baseball was coming to an end, we didn't want to give up athletics just yet, so we said let's try some football. And I knew Coach Zoo from Arizona because he used to be a high school coach in Arizona, and that's where I was mostly at when I was playing baseball. I was at the Arizona complex. And I think it was during COVID we weren't allowed to go to the field, so we started working out at this place called D1 Scottsdale in Scottsdale, Arizona, and Coach Zoo was there training kids and stuff like that. And just always used to talk to him, follow him on Instagram. And then I think in December of last year, I hit him up on Instagram, and he said, come on out, man. So that's how that happened.
That's crazy. And how's that transition been for you so far?
Definitely been rough on the body. The body hasn't quite adapted to it yet, but I should be a lot better off next year. My body should be more used to it. Like school is fine. My mom helps me a lot with that. The transition, just the body. Just gotta take care of the body more, just learn how to sustain more of the little tweaks and stuff like that I've had in the past. But transition's been pretty good.
I was going to ask you about school. You were out of the school learning homework tests for a while, and then all of a sudden you have to get back into that. That's got to be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, definitely, man. When I was like, man, I want to play football, but I was like, I got to do school again, man. It's been a minute since I've done any homework, written anything. Only time I pick up a pen now is to sign. It was like to sign a baseball or something like that. So, it was definitely a transition for that. Just the mental side of it. I can do the work and everything, but just knowing like you got to sit down and do homework again. It was a little rough at the beginning, but we've adjusted to it for sure.
When it came time to deciding you wanted to play football, how did you settle in on what kind of position you wanted to play?
Just off of my build, I told him I was either probably tight end or defensive end, and he was a defensive end coach. He was like, come on out, man, you play defensive end. Just my body type and everything, just my length and everything, my speed. Thought DN would be a good fit.
Coach Dreiling has said, you're probably the most athletic guy on the team. He's not surprised that you're out there making plays quickly and picking this up quickly. And we saw that on Saturday. You were able to make some good plays. You got 1.5 sacks against Hawai'i. Just how gratifying was that to actually get in and make some meaningful plays?
Oh man, yeah, I've been waiting a while, man, to just get the opportunity. I knew I can go out there and contribute to something. I just need the opportunity, and I finally have been getting the opportunity the last couple of games and stuff like that, because our starters went down and stuff like that. And yeah, made the most of it, man. That was a special moment, man. It was fun being out there a lot.
Where do you see things going for you? Like, just as kind of an early fast track to learning football and getting into this organized system, but is it starting to pick up? Is it starting to become a little bit more familiar to you now, not quite as foreign?
Oh yeah, man. I definitely know what I'm doing out there. I'm very confident in like the scheme of the defense and everything, and just like my technique has just gotten better and better ever since. Like I look back at my first day of spring, and I think I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I don't know if I can do this, man. But just fast forward to now, I'm very confident in myself being out there. I know I can contribute to something and make plays for sure.
Early scouting, San Diego State. Do you face them this coming Saturday? What do you see out of the Aztecs?
Their O-line isn't one of the best we face, so they shouldn't be too much of a problem. So we should definitely make a lot of plays on the line of scrimmage for sure. Yeah.
And then it's going to be senior day for some of the guys here. I mean, you've only spent a short time here, but there are some senior leaders. What would you say about them and how they've kind of taken you under your wing? Has there been any specifically that have done that?
Yeah, Poulet, Blaine, and Cole, Moats, Wyatt, those guys, love those guys, man. They're true leaders. Jordan, Vincent, yeah, true leaders, man. You look up to those guys and just you really play for them, because this is their last time going out and stuff like that. So you just really want to get some wins for them for sure.
All right, well, thank you so much and best of luck on Saturday.
Definitely, thank you.
So that's Utah State defensive end, outside linebacker, kind of those two positions kind of meld together. But Will Holmes, and apparently that's an important distinction, Will Holmes as opposed to William.
Yes, he politely corrected me. Well, in a different interview, I do these goofy, fun, get-to-know-you things. We call it Know Your Aggies. And I asked him if he has any nicknames. He's like, Will. Everybody calls me Will. Only my mom calls me William. He's looking at me like, because I already called him William. I'm like, okay, I get it. Point taken.
Correction received.
Yeah,
loud and clear. So that's Will Holmes. A great story, and hopefully get to see him stick around just because, Nate Dreiling talked about him, talking about his athleticism. This is a guy who's he's kind of one of those athletic, freaks of nature. Sometimes you use that term, where this is a guy who's big, tall, fast. Nate Dreiling said he's one of the fastest guys on the team. I think he said like second or third fastest. I imagine Jalen Rolls might be about the only one who's faster. Or Derek Jameson's pretty high up there.
Jameson's up there.
Having seen him run, he might be one of the fastest on the team as well. So Holmes potentially to have a big impact these last couple of games. And he talked about the San Diego State defensive line or offensive line, saying, it's not the best they've faced. It's not like he was taking a dig at them, but it's like they faced really good defensive lines, so they should be able to make plays against the Aztecs, which would be huge in having a similar defensive performance that they had against Hawaii and Wyoming.
Right. And just what an interesting story. I mean, a guy who last played football when he was, what did he say, 7th grade? I mean, yeah. So he is a total blank canvas. So, yes, he doesn't have certain fundamentals that are ingrained in him, but he also doesn't have bad habits that are ingrained in him either. So this coaching staff has been working with him and teaching him correct principles and trying to learn techniques, and he's been picking it up quickly. And this isn't a guy that didn't start playing organized football like legitimately until like this 8-9 months ago when he arrived for spring ball. It's incredible the type of improvement and growth this guy has had in that short time. Bonkers.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Total bonkers.
And Holmes, I believe, is around 23 years old. Mm-hmm. And on that subject, 8968 saying that Holmes guy is a really, really old guy. Love Troy Calhoun. Got some really old players.
Yeah. Coach Calhoun would look at him and think, "Oh, that's a mission kid." No, he had a different trajectory.
Yeah, he had a different path after high school, going and play baseball and whatnot.
But he is on a roster of. There are other older guys.
Yeah,
but he comes in as a 23-year-old, 24-year-old freshman, where these guys are 24, 25-year-old seniors.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Already very mature, having basically lived, adult life with your professional baseball is a crazy thing to be doing at a young age, and you learn pretty quickly how to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Not that it's like you're living in poverty but
it's life on a bus.
Yeah.
Life in hotel rooms.
And it also
living out of your gym bag.
It also isn't the greatest pay either. So
no.
It's not like he was living large in the minor leagues. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we got a few more texts. We'll get to those as well. I'll also talk about the NBA, kind of a myriad of little topics to get to. With the Utah Jazz, Sam Merrill, Neemias, Queta, a couple former Aggies facing off against each other in kind of the marquee game of the NBA regular season so far. We'll talk about how that went here on the Full Court Press.
It's that first kiss, that moment in time.
Over the last few years, we have expanded the store to create one of the largest engagement selections in northern Utah. In addition to our goldsmith, we now have a design team that creates, casts, and brings to life your one-of-a-kind ring right here in our store, all for one common goal, to make it special for you. If you haven't been in yet, come see what makes us so special.
Jared's fine jewelry. Make it special. Make it Jared's.
Ski season is coming, which means Season Ski Rentals. This is Mark at the Sportsman, where we have over 20 years of season ski rental experience. We rent to kids and adults. Come in to get season ski rentals for your entire family. We like to wait a little later in the fall because there is a chance your kids might grow out of their boots by the time ski season actually rolls around. Starting at $69.99, you will get the right gear for your kids to ski this year at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan, with tons of parking in the back.
Need a reliable partner for your medical needs? Look no further than Triton Medical and Transportation. We offer top quality medical soft goods right here in your community. From incontinence supplies and oxygen needs to medical transportation. Whatever you need to stay comfortable and healthy, we've got you covered. Trust Triton Medical and Transportation, caring for our community with every step, every mile. Call us today at 435-557-6687 or visit us online at mytritonsupply.com. Triton Medical and Transportation, because your help matters.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
We're back here on the Full Court Press. Whenever I hear this music, I always think of Doctor Who.
It does sound Doctor Who-ish.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like the theme.
Yeah.
So any Doctor Who fans might have just had a seizure because maybe it's like incredibly different. Hopefully I didn't just insult your
I'm
family.
thinking the old Doctor Who. I haven't seen any of the new
I haven't seen the new ones. The only ones I've seen a handful of episodes, and they were all from like the mid 2000s and whatnot. We have one text on the Full Court Press text line, 5860, a compliment and not as much of a compliment.
Yeah, you guys are hilarious. Jason calls great games. If we're going to fire someone for bad game calling, when are we going to talk about? I'm not going to say his name.
We're friends with this guy.
Yeah, Mr. Left to Right on your radio dial. What even is that?
I know it's a very common turn of phrase for radio broadcasters, and basically it's trying to help you visualize which way play is going.
Right. Radio dial, that's an outdated term.
It's a relic, but I mean, they're like a lot of things. The save icon is an outdated relic as far as its visual, but
right,
we still use it because we know what it is. So
yeah, it's trying to paint a picture of how things are
if they're
happening.
Because like I'll say, okay, when I'm on the football broadcast, they're going left to right, and if you're not watching the game, it's like, okay, in my head, team's going left to right, and you can kind of visualize that. And they add across your radio dial because it's a flourish, and radio people got to do a flourish like that.
That's right.
So
that's right.
I said we're going to get to the NBA. We're actually going to call an audible because Eric actually has to dip out slightly early. He's got to go do important things.
Being here with you and our audience, that's important too.
Yeah. He's got to do things for people who absolutely can't wait, I guess. They can't chill for 15 minutes.
No.
But it's the hottest game show in radio. Here across your radio dial. No, That makes it sound like I'm taking a dig at 5'8". No, I'm not taking a dig at that. Just thought it was funny. Hot take or not a take? I peruse the internet and try and find a hot take, or I make one up, and then I tell Eric, and then he has to figure out if it's an actual hot take or a take I made up. And then we can talk about whether or not it's even a hot take or not.
Yeah.
So this is one I saw just before the show. This former NFL quarterback believes that Mike Shanahan should be in the Hall of Fame.
Mike Shanahan?
Yeah. The guy who coached the Broncos.
Former Broncos coach?
Yeah.
He was a good coach for the Broncos.
Yeah.
He had a pretty good run.
Kind of fizzled out at the end.
Yeah, it fizzled out because didn't he go to like Washington?
Yeah, he went to Washington for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
That didn't go super well.
Didn't go so well. I'm gonna say not a take.
Not a take? Well, Eric, that was a take, and it was spoken by none other than John Elway, the quarterback.
Well, of course he would say that.
So here's the question. Like when I first saw that, I was like, no way. I mean, one, the guy barely had, actually had a lower than 60% winning percentage. He had those 2 Super Bowls. But it's like, I don't know. My main thing with the Hall of Fame, of course, all these Hall of Fame discussions are going on because the semifinalists for the next Hall of Fame class were announced. You've got some guys like Eli Manning where there's a bit of debate. All the Patriots fans like me say he shouldn't get in because we're all bitter over the 2 Super Bowl losses. And then there's, other guys that are maybe on the fringe. I think Torrey Holt's been on the fringe for like years, and all the Rams fans really want him to get in. So him or Isaac Bruce, I always mix those 2 guys up. And it's only worse because they played together on those Rams teams. And so I can't keep them straight. And either one or both of them aren't in the Hall of Fame, and they probably should both be in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, like, should he be in? But again, the thing I was going on before I got sidetracked talking about Torrey Holt, but it's that I feel like these Hall of Fames are almost like too inclusive these days.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the barrier of entry just seems to be dropping lower and lower. Hall of Fame should mean these were the best of the best. These guys did, or these people, they did something extraordinary over the course of their career. And it seems like if you had a good year, maybe 2 good years over the course of your entirety, it's like, well, okay.
Yeah,
remember that one game he had? Oh, man, we got to put him in the Hall of Fame.
People talk about putting Matthew Stafford in the Hall of Fame. It's like, really?
No.
Especially after he won that Super Bowl, they're saying, oh, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback now. It's like, really? That's what it took. Like, dude threw for 5,000 yards, but so did Jameis Winston.
Yeah, right. I mean, I know we do get a little maybe too obsessed with rings and championships, but...
Well, Eli Manning is like the personification of, and Manu Ginobili kind of alongside him, but at least Manu Ginobili had more of a case to be in the professional basketball
also
Hall of Fame.
What he did in the Olympics.
Yeah, but even then, I didn't think Manu Ginobili had this slam dunk case, but he got in. With Eli Manning, it's like, and I know bitter Patriots fan here, but
overvaluing.
Yeah, it's like 2 Super Bowls, and that's literally it. His Hall of Fame case begins and ends with 2 Super Bowls. Is that enough to get you in?
Because he played on a team that had great defense.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of got Terrell Davis in, I guess.
He was an okay quarterback. It's not like he was garbage. But
he played like 20 years in the NFL.
That team didn't get there because of Eli Manning.
Yeah. He's basically Phillip Rivers with 2 rings.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. You could argue that Phillip Rivers had a better overall body of work. Just look at his raw numbers.
Yeah. And that's the other problem with quarterbacks is right now they're putting up, they all have better numbers than all of the Hall of Fame quarterbacks, except the ones who have just barely gotten in the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
Like Eli Manning has better numbers than Joe Montana, and just, go down the list. He's got better numbers than basically everybody. But that's just because
weren't they doing that exercise? You look at journeyman Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick has
had
better
more yards than Troy Aikman, who won multiple Super Bowls. But it's just the era is different in how the game has changed and how important the quarterback is in the throw game.
So I don't know. Do you guys think Mike Shanahan should be in the Hall of Fame? I know we're not much of a.
There are a lot of Bronco fans around here. There's a good number, but I'd say no.
I'd say no, but I've at least heard some good arguments. But yeah, I'd lean more towards no. But that's mostly because I'm a high barrier of entry to the Hall of Fame. And to me, about the only guy that I think should be in that may not get in. I really want Adam Vinatieri to get into the Hall of Fame, because that's like your most clutch kicker in NFL history.
True.
You know, I know it's like it's a kicker, and they basically don't ever put kickers in the Hall of Fame. I think the only kicker who's in the Hall of Fame is George Blanda, who played quarterback for half of his career and kicker. So so there's not really a pure kicker in the Hall of Fame that I'm aware of. Adam Vinatieri may be the first. Who knows? So that's our hot take or not a take. I think I've had like 3 or 4 in a row where I didn't actually make up the take just because I saw something. I was like, oh, I got to do that. I got to have one of these where I actually make it up. Just come up with something so completely off the rails. Just something insane.
Yeah.
For our hot take or not a take. But anyway, we're actually going to go ahead and take another quick break here. We'll say farewell to Eric, off to do his important business things. Or not really business things.
This isn't a business thing.
Yeah, it's not. It's different stuff. Nothing insane. Yeah. But he's got to dip out early. So we'll actually get to the NBA now. I'll go ahead and talk about the NBA. Also, Utah State women's basketball. Just kind of finish up the show with a hodgepodge of different topics here on the Full Court Press. We'll have that next.
A mouth-watering Cafe Sabor burrito, smothered in cheese and fresh guacamole with endless chips and salsa, plus your favorite drink, all for just $7.95. It's Locals Day at Cafe Sabor. Every Thursday, the drinks are bottomless, the chips and salsa are endless, and the burritos are amazing, all for just $7.95. There's nothing better. It's Cafe Sabor's way of saying thanks, Cache Valley. Don't miss Locals Day every Thursday at Cafe Sabor in the historic train station, 6th West and Center in Logan.
Copiers, printers, service, and supplies are just the beginning. Les Olson IT is the premier source for your business's structured cabling, IT, software, telephones, and security systems. We partner with you to find the ideal solution to all of your office technology needs. Tell us your goals and we'll get you there. Find out more at lesolson.com.
Les Olson IT.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. A few years ago, I saw this sign hanging in a gas station. It said price, quality, service. Pick 2 out of the 3. Now, it's funny, and I did laugh, but at My Mattress, we don't even want to do business unless we can do all 3. Price, quality, and service. We have a 90-day sleep guarantee, 90-day price guarantee, and we will answer the phone if you have a warranty concern. At My Mattress, we deliver, we have financing, we strive to be price, quality, and service every day. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
This is Kyle at Advanced Door, and we guarantee every garage door we install for a lifetime, parts and labor. That's every door, every spring, every roller, every track, every motor. The entire garage door system guaranteed for a lifetime, parts and labor. We're Advanced Door, and we guarantee you'll be hearing this for a long time. Find out more at advanced-door.com. That's advanced-door.com.
Following the local teams, it's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Things up here on the Full Court Press. Jason Walker here by myself, but with the text chat. If you guys want to send a final text or two in before we sign off the air here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM The Fan, you can text 435-339-0321. Got a few different things to go over at the end of the show, just kind of little updates here. I know one thing that went on yesterday, you had Utah State women's basketball. There was a game where Utah State was taking on a very tough Colorado opponent. And they were actually kind of hanging with them. I was thinking, okay, this is the team that's just going to get killed. You know, they lost to Northern Colorado, 85-57. I was like, they're traveling to Colorado, going to Boulder. This team worried they're just going to get killed again. But they actually performed pretty well in the first half. And, well, to be honest, in 3 out of the 4 quarters were actually somewhat competitive, where they were down 21-13 at the end of the first quarter. And then it was, I believe, 45 46-39. So you're within 7 on the road against a pretty quality Colorado team. It's like, all right, that's that's something that you can work with. Well, then the third quarter happens, and Utah State scores 3 points in the third quarter. Colorado scores 27. So the most points scored by Colorado in a quarter in this game, the obviously least by Utah State. They get 3 points the entire quarter. But then in the fourth quarter, Utah State outscores Colorado 23-22. Now, some of that may have been, kind of taking your foot off the gas where Colorado built a 20-plus point lead, probably even a 30-point lead, I think. They did build a 30-point lead in that third quarter, and then just kind of hanging on to it. Technically having 1 point taken off of their lead. They end up winning 95-65. So Utah State kind of getting their teeth kicked in a little bit, not performing at a super high level there. But this was, pretty much always going to be that reality of this season. They're going to face some really good teams. This isn't the last good team they're going to face. They've got Ohio State coming up soon. And this is going to be a bit of the reality. I think they'll learn what they can during this non-conference stretch. Then they're going to come into Mountain play. The quality of opponent isn't going to be as high during Mountain West play, though. It's still going to be pretty solid. And then they're going to have to learn. And I think there's good and bad. You can learn from the fact that you scored only 3 points in a quarter. You can also learn from the fact that, they crawled back, or they were crawling back. They outscored Colorado in 2 of the 4 quarters, 26-25 in the second, 23-22 in the fourth. You can learn from that. It's limited. You may be limited a bit as far as what you can learn, but you can learn from the good that you did and the bad that you did. And that's just going to be the theme of Utah State women's basketball for a couple of years. Oh, and I just realized Sophie Sen got to play her first minutes of the season. She's been out. Last time I saw her, she was still in a boot. The one of their transfer centers from Rhode Island, and I believe she's actually from Frandsen originally, and she got to play her first minutes. I know they've spoken really highly of her, probably working her. Yeah, she is from France. I think they're working her way back from injuries where she only plays 10 minutes. I think she's someone they eventually, I think, can expect to start, where they'd be able to start her and play her some pretty big minutes. A 6'3" center from France, Sophie Sen, I believe is how you say her last name. So keep an eye on Utah State women's basketball. They will take on Omaha. They'll be in Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska. That'll be their next game. It'll be on Tuesday, the 26th. Going to the NBA. Really quick, 9-3-5 on the text line. Says Eric sure likes to leave during the show year round, summertime included. Well, during summertime, he just goes on vacation. Although I'm going to be doing him one better. I'm actually going to be gone tomorrow. So I'll give you, Eric already knows this, but I will actually be gone tomorrow. I will not be on tomorrow's show. So Eric's leaving me for one segment. I'm leaving him for the whole show. Tomorrow, I'll be at the high school football championships down at the University of Utah, which makes it even more of a shame that, Ridgeline and Skyview couldn't make it, because then I would have been able to watch them again. But I'll be watching. They'll have, all the different championship games. So a chance to, I'll just be sitting there chilling with my dad, kind of literally because it's going to be cold. But chilling with my dad, and I think a couple of others are going with us. I think uncles or grandpa or whatnot, to just watch some football, guys' night out, and have a chance to watch some sports there. Good old-fashioned high school sports. So it'll be a fun day for me tomorrow, and Eric will have to run the ship on his own. But yeah, moving to the NBA, just kind of final thoughts. A few different small things. The Utah Jazz once again losing, keeping the tank alive. They are now 3-11 this season, although there are other teams that are currently doing worse somehow. There, I believe the Bulls. The Raptors, excuse me. The Raptors are 3-12. There are a couple of teams who have fewer wins than the Jazz. So I guess technically they're also doing worse, because the Wizards are 2-11. The 76ers are 2-11. The Jazz are 3-11. Their most recent loss was to the LA Lakers. And of course, there was that viral clip. If you haven't seen it, you can go listen to it where, so in the Jazz's loss, Dalton Knecht, the Lakers' first-round pick this last year out of Tennessee, he had 37 points, and I believe he tied the NBA rookie record with 9 3-pointers made in that game. So Will Hardy, after the game, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but he said that everyone in the gym, almost everyone in the gym, knew that Dalton was going to be the one to shoot it. He said the only players who didn't were on our team. It's like, yeah, kind of brutally honest from Will Hardy as he sees his team sink to kind of another new low there, letting a rookie score 37 points against them and losing what was a close game. The Jazz didn't lose by a whole lot. Final score is 124-118. Like, this is a winnable game for the Jazz in a lot of circumstances if they don't let Knecht go for 37. You expect 26 apiece from LeBron and AD, but 37 from Knecht, yeah, that's not something that maybe they were expecting as much of. You get a better game from Lauri Markkanen, who'd been in a bit of an efficiency slump. He gets 25 points. You get 19 from Sexton, 18 from Collins. Keontae George has a decent game, and you kind of wasted that on, one of the few games, Keontae George, where he's having an efficient night, and you end up, losing. So not something you want to have is when you finally are efficient with Keontae George, who's been struggling, you end up losing the game. But as Eric said, I think a couple of shows ago, this is kind of the perfect scenario. Compete in these games, but still lose them. Because I'm still seeing those photoshops of Cooper Flagg in a Utah Jazz jersey. I saw one, I was looking at social media during one of the breaks, and I saw another one, Cooper Flagg wearing a Utah Jazz jersey. And that's an exciting thing to think about, is having him play for the Jazz. They keep comparing him to, Andre Karolinko, but, guy who can score better than Andre Karolinko was able to, but being as hounding on defense as Karolinko was in a lot of ways, and being versatile and being able to rebound and pass. And so you're just really hoping that the Jazz can get this generational talent in Cooper Flagg, a guy who has, really high hype levels, not to the same as Victor Wembanyama, but, more hype than especially like last year's first round pick. Can't remember his name. I couldn't pronounce it very well. The guy the Hawks ended up picking. It's like there is a lot of hype around Cooper Flagg for a reason, and you hope the Jazz manage to get him. And they're going to need to have a bad season. So maybe this is the price of getting a superstar, if the Jazz can even hang on to that superstar. But speaking of superstars, at least former Aggie superstars, one final note here is the Cleveland Cavaliers-Boston Celtics game. Occurred yesterday. The Celtics, obviously one of the favorites for the NBA title, being the reigning champs and retaining most of their key players. The Cleveland Cavaliers are trying to be the upstart, one of the new teams. They've got a lot of young, exciting players, obviously Donovan Mitchell, but they've also got Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, Jared Allen, and of course, Sam Merrill, who started last night's game. He was in the starting lineup for the Cavaliers, and I believe that's one of only a handful of starts. Yeah, that's only his second start since 2020, or at least the 2020/2021 season. He started, I think, a couple of games at the very end of Milwaukee's season, but he started one game last year, started last night, played 19 minutes, had 6 points. But across from him, Neemias Queta, also playing. He didn't start, but he played 16 minutes. He's been playing pretty consistently. He had 5 points, 4 rebounds, and also the win, as the Boston Celtics got the win over the Cavs. But that's going to do it for me tonight. Thank you so much for listening to the Full Court Press here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan. Talk to you guys later.
The NFL.
Touchdown!
On Sports Talk Radio.
I've been waiting a long time, for this moment.
KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM.